the our August edition. So for those of you new to Power Hour, we're going to go through two layouts. We'll do mine and then we'll do Megan's. I'm Tessa Chappell and I live outside Indianapolis, Indiana. So it's Eastern time for me, 8 o'clock. Megan is out in Seattle, so 5 o'clock for her. And I know we get people from all over the country, the world, different time zones. So we appreciate you joining us. And I'll repeat, if you did not see the correction email that went out this afternoon, there was an error in the first one. So both handouts are in the second one. And those will get sent out again tomorrow along with the recording. So if you want to watch us again or reprint or you didn't get it, you can get all of that tomorrow. So we're going to start with my layout. You can see here in front of me on the table. And so I've really been trying hard to actually have photos to go with what I do so I can actually get some of my own pages done. And so I had pulled out some photos. Cooper did Scouts for 1 year. And so this was the only Pinewood Derby that he had. And I use a lot of pictures and I do not give away a lot of layouts. So this all had to go on 2 pages. And so I know a lot of you are like me and you have a lot of old creative memory stuff. And then sometimes when you get to a layout, you have products in mind you want to use, right? And so I knew I wanted to use these old racing strips, these old border strips that you guys probably remember, all creative memories. And then I was trying to decide what colors to do in it. Obviously, Scouts is navy and gold pretty traditionally, and I really wanted to have that. But the racing theme, you know, I have these black and whites. And if you have the black and white paper pack from the new Creative Memories, it's really bold. And they're very hard prints to use a lot of. And so I decided to pull them all together in this layout. And I thought it would be fun because I will use the T ruler that Megan had teased us with last time that I know some of you got. If you don't have it, it's fine. It's just a way to lay out these stickers. So the design is pretty simple. I have 2 background bases and I had suggested using a cardstock base or something dark, something that looks good as your mats. If you'll notice in my design, this is key for me. I will always usually cluster my photos real close together. So you notice that on both sides of here, I'm just leaving a little bit of space between my photos because it gives me that matting effect without actually using mats. It saves paper, it saves time. I'm kind of a lazy scrapper. I don't like to mat everything. And so when you choose your background paper, clustering your photos thinly kind of saves that time. And then we're filling in the extra space here. And then I chose this black and white print. And I wanted to do the L shape because I really did want to keep the cohesive pattern. Depending on what pattern you use, sometimes it would be obvious if you cut it or didn't cut it. So I wanted to do one L cut with that. You should be able to see my pages as the spotlight on there. If not, you can pin it as spotlight if you don't see my pages up there. So for tonight, there's a couple of different, I was going to show 2, but since I talk so much, I might not be able to. So this is a good layout to use if you have extra border strips. That's what I was suggesting to use. I have these strips. You also remember old Creative Memories border strips. If you don't have border stickers, you know, you might have some extra strips of paper. Or some of you might also have paper ribbon or the sticker ribbon from old Creative Memories. And this is a good layout to use up some of that stuff because we're going to cut our L-shaped paper and then we're going to add in our border stickers, whatever accent you want inside this L, and then leave the rest of it pretty wide open for our layout. So I pulled out these prints, which are from Candy Shop. It's an old Creative Memories pack. It's a very bold print, nothing I would want to use as a full background paper. You do have to use 2 sheets because we are cutting the full L. If you need to conserve paper, you could cut your L shorter, or you could do a miter corner if you really wanted to try to get 2 out of 1. I'm not real worried about that. So I have 2 sheets of paper to cut my L's from. Before we cut also, you'll want to pay attention to which way you want your L to sit on your page in case it matters when you're actually doing your cutting. I mentioned one other variation. I'll go ahead and show you in case I don't have time to cut it, but with this design also, if you have a paper where both sides, maybe one side is kind of a tonal paper against your print, You could cut your L. This is the canoe paper. I can cut my L, and I'm going to have a square left, and I could flip it and then photo put this together or adhere it together. So you could do one page out of one sheet of paper. That did not work for me in the black and white. I did not want the opposite as black and white as my layout. And on this candy shop paper, it's this green print on the back. And so I am not interested in using both of those on one layout. But depending on what print you use, the back side of it may be something that you're okay with being the center of your layout, if that makes sense. So we'll work through it and we can come back to any questions you might have. So you're going to just need your 12-inch trimmer. And I put on the handout too, a lot of you are familiar with Meggan's binder clip technique. I'm not very good about doing technique, but I decided, you know what, this is a good layout to actually show off the binder clip technique. So we put the YouTube link on the PDF if you have not seen it or you don't know what I'm talking about. But basically, we're going to use a binder clip to help us start and stop cutting our L shape and get that 1-inch frame. So you're going to choose your paper. And then again, you can think about too how you want your L's. If you notice on mine, I'm using opposite corners. I'm going like this and like this. You might decide you want them to go like this on your layout. You might decide you want them like this on your layout. It only matters if the print of your paper has a direction to it, and it's going to matter how you cut. I'm pretty flexible. I'm just going to cut mine, and if by chance I cut it wrong, I'm just going to flip the way my L sits on the paper. But this print that I'm using actually doesn't really matter. I'm going to do a 1-inch frame. And so I am going to line up, I'm going to cut 1 inch up here. But what the binder clip does, so I'm going to want to stop my L at the 11-inch mark, right? Because I want to leave that 1 inch along the bottom of my frame. And so if you have the Creative Memories trimmer and you line this white hashtag up here against the 11 inches, you can put a binder clip here as your stopper. And so I'm not going to be able to cut past 11 inches because I'm not really going to be able to see that mark. So I know that I'm going to kind of breeze through that technique because Meggan has a whole video. You could film back and watch it. So to cut my L, I want a 1 inches. You could do a fatter one if you choose. And so the way that mine's orienting, my L is going to go like this. So when I'm done, this is going to be the shape of my L on my paper. So the binder clip stops me at 11 inches. I'm going to take it and I'm going to flip my paper. And I'm going to come up here to this 1 inch mark again. And so down here, I'm going to cut this 11 inches and it's going to stop right here where this first cut went. But because I had the binder clip, I don't even have to worry about watching that. It stops me and my paper is loose. So you're going to have this inside sheet, which you don't need for this layout unless you want to flip your design. So I'll show you that one more time. My L shape. If you don't have a binder clip or you have a different trimmer, you just want to cut 11 inches. To give yourself that 1 inch L. And because that's so fast and easy with the binder clip, thanks Meggan, I'll go ahead and cut my canoe paper. So for this one, I have to think about my canoes up. When I do this layout, I want my L like this on the paper. I'm actually going to flip myself down here. I have my L for there. So for this layout, like I was saying, you could flip and tape chip this together if you had a back side that worked well as your center. But for my candy shop, I don't have that. That's all I need my trimmer for. And actually, I decided to use a white cardstock base for this layout. It's actually not white cardstock, it's the back of the paper packs, but that's what I use for white cardstock because it's bright white and I really like it. But this print that I chose has a lot of white in it. And because I know whatever photos I use, I'll cluster, it'll look like it has white mats. And then depending on how much open space I have left on the layout, I could always add in some color if I want to fill in the white space. So I have the option here, depending on what kind of print you have. Mine's not a directional print per se, so I could choose to do my L's like this. I could choose to go like this or the bottom. Now let me look at my stickers and decide. So right, I am doing this with these birthday candle stickers, and those would look good with the candles probably pointing to the top. So I think I might do my layouts with my L's going down to the bottom corners. And I'm going to adhere these candle strips here. And then I have a couple of choices with my paper ribbon. I can go up this side. So first I'm going to adhere my L's to my base. I'm just going to use regular tape. That one down. That one down. Okay. So then I'm going to grab my T ruler. This is where you put the Amazon hot link and the PDF also. And then I have my border stickers. Now the border stickers are usually 12 inches, right? And so I know in the end I'm going to have extra of that, but I'm not going to take it off my backing paper yet. So the way I did this is you want to turn it, you want to be confident of which way you want your sticker. And when you're using the T ruler, I am just like shutting. Probably can't even see it. The T ruler, because it's going to go up against the back or the bottom of your mat here, the ruler part, I know will stay straight. You could use your regular ruler, but I'm really bad about my ruler going like this, which means I can't really put my border sticker on straight. I'm really bad about putting border stickers on straight. I don't know about you guys. I have a hard time with that. So I can use the T ruler to line myself up down the side. I'm going to go ahead and pull it off. And then I usually kind of drape them over my arm a little bit like that. And then I can get myself down here and get my T ruler where I want the sticker to start. And then it's going to act like a guide. To help me get that on even. And then if you have full 12 inches, it's going to hang over the edge of your mat. You can cut it off, or what I usually do is just bend it over the back. Look how fast that was. I never put my border stickers on that straight. Super easy. And then on this side of the layout, I think I'm going to use some of my sticker ribbon. If I can get it out here. Oh, I guess I'm out of this one. Maybe not. Never mind. I didn't know it was on. I don't have enough in other layout. Okay, plan B. How about we use sometimes it's easier to pull them out of the package. I know I'm going to need about 11 inches of this. When I wanted to show you this other tip too, what I do, and or do you guys have these old border rulers that were like plastic, but they're real flimsy? When I do paper ribbon or the sticker ribbon, I like to cut against these because they're flexible. And obviously I usually am doing 12 inches. Today I would really only need 11, but then I can like bend it against this and cut my 12 inches off here. That is the easier way for me to measure. This is sticker ribbon. It wasn't paper ribbon. We'll see if I can. I'm trying to find ways to use up all these old supplies because they take up a lot of space.
So are you using 2 strips of like either the ribbon or a border strip?
Yeah, so each side will use 2. So on my original scout layout, I had 4 strips of this racing. I had 4 of these. They're all the same, so it looks the same. But you have 2 options here for 2 sides. Now, the birthday candles, I only had 1 of these strips left. I only had 2 of these Great Length stickers. So then I have to come through here and find something else. This is probably a bad choice to choose on camera because usually it's paper ribbon, but with Candy Shop, it was sticker ribbon. So that means I'm trying to get this back off while you guys are all watching me. Okay. I got my backing off. I'm gonna get my paper ready. And you can go to the center of your mat if it's easier, as long as you have your edge lined up straight. And bring your T ruler in to give yourself an edge. You could do these with, if you don't have paper ribbon, you don't have sticker ribbon, or you could do laser borders. You could punch out border maker strips. I got that off the top, and then I can just bend it over the back. There is one side of that one. And so then when I have my photos, I will cluster them, and then I'll have open space here to decorate. Let me show you the, so for this one with the canoes, so tape chips or photo splits is what I was talking about. We currently do sell the tape chips, so you could do this 2 ways. If you wanted to flip your inside and use it as the base of your paper, you would flip over to the back, and you can adhere tape chips like this. Or you could just adhere onto a backing sheet like I was using that come out of the paper packs or something. You don't want the weight. Tape chips are an easy way to just flip this design, but that's going to depend again on what's on the back side of your paper. Yeah, if you're using a sticker ribbon, I thought about that. Since you're all watching me, I could just put adhesive and tape runner and put it down there. That would have probably been a little bit smoother. So for this one, I use that, or you could just tape them both down. If you're going into top loading or you're not worried about the weight, of course, you could glue them down onto another sheet if you wanted to. Let me finish my other layout. I'm going to put my handles on here. Again, I'm just lining up on any straight line here. Get my ruler in place. Make sure I have the orientation of my sticker right. Starting. I find I don't use the border stickers a lot. So when I was trying to decide what to do tonight, I had so many choices because there's so many collections that I have where I've used a lot of the other stickers, but not the border stickers. So yeah, I could tape runner this one. Then I could move it around easier if I wanted to. It's just going to be a little bit thicker because of that backing paper. And then I'm not going to be able to really flip it around the back as easily. I would have to cut it. So it's a little stark. Like I said, I don't usually use white as my bases, but I know that by the time I have photos, I'm just going to do the real thin matting with the photos, and then I'll have open space. So what can you do with your open space? So if we go back to the Boy Scout layout, and you notice I pushed it all clustered together. I went up against my print. So I'm real close up here. I could have had all my photos down here and decorated along here, but I felt like it would have created some imbalance in my layout because everything interesting would have been up there and the photos down here. So I pushed my photos that way. And then down here, do you guys have those old, the Tiletopia? I usually just use the straight edge, but this was one of the wavy edges along there with the old sassy ABC. And then it's kind of been what's old is new again, and everyone's getting back into their templates. And so over here, I had 3 photos, and I used the custom cutting system to do oval. And I matted this one with the yellow, but I didn't really feel the need to matte these, and I knew that they were going to overlap. And so I went, Megan's probably like, I can't believe that. She would never do this. But again, if you have the old Creative Memory stickers, there's all these little ones that came on some of those sheets. And so I went around my photos just to use up all those little square ones. And then I got one of my templates out. This is one of the old ones. And I got a white gel pen. It's not Creative Memories because we've never had white, and silver, I didn't think it would pop as well. And so I went ahead and used the template to make journaling lines directly on my navy. And I held it up here against the photo so that my lines do kind of curve around his oval. And then I journaled with that on there, and then accented with some of the racing stickers that came off of the strips with those. Yeah, confetti. That's what I was thinking. Those old confetti stickers. I don't know about you guys, but I get so excited when I can use up a strip and throw it away. And I got to throw away a couple of these confetti ones. So I have a lot of old stuff sitting around here, which is why you always see those in my layout. So it's a pretty simple layout you can use, but again, it lets you use some of these prints that are a little bit too dynamic to use by themselves. You can use up some of those border strips or your paper ribbon or something to give yourself a decorative edge. And then challenge yourself maybe to just use the cardstock as matting and maybe some of your templates or something directly on your page. Yeah, we'll say vintage, not old. I have a lot of vintage. Next year will be my 20 years in Creative Memories, and I have collected all of it. I have all of it. Okay, any questions? I did pretty well. I got to show you all those in only my 24 minutes. Okay, well, I'll look forward to seeing what you make later, but I'll give you over to Megan because I know she has something a little bit more intricate for us to do. So
It's not that intricate. Let
and
me
I did not
switch
take up
over.
any of your time. You have full 30 minutes.
Well, that's good. It's good because I do enjoy chatting and all that other stuff. So, hi, I'm Meggan Jax. I am here in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle area. We were real cool today. I'm wearing leggings and a long sleeve shirt. It's actually really cold in my house. It was really hot this last weekend though, so we're getting some of that Midwest bipolar Mother Nature stuff right now. But anyway, here we are, and let me switch over to my desktop. So the layout that I wanted to share with you, keeping it pretty straightforward. For tonight, we're still in summer. We don't want to spend, I don't know, our thing with our summer scrapping was, quick, easy wins when it comes to putting pages together. So yeah, so here we go. What you're going to want is you're going to want 2 pieces of cardstock. And you're going to want to, when you are picking these out, keep in mind you're going to have 2 different pattern papers. So you're going to want base pieces of cardstock. They're going to act like grout in this layout. You can kind of see we have a tiled look going on, and we have almost like grout lines in here. So I use navy in this particular choice here. I will be using, for my layout, I'll just show you the papers I'm going to be using. I have picked some purple, light purple. I honestly can't remember if this was what this is from, a paper buffet or a cardstock buffet of some sort. I have a light purple because I'm going to be using a couple of pages from Better Together. I've got this kind of fun, almost looks like the fireworky thing going on with this teal color. And so it works really well. I've got 2 different papers here. They're both non-directional. It might be that wildflower purple color. So I can't remember. I'm really bad when it comes to the pale purples. I like them, but I have a harder time keeping track of which one is which. So the Better Together, like I said, you've got 2 complementary but different pieces. And this really, you can see here in my sample, I used emerald gemstone, and I picked, they're different, but there's not a huge amount of different from this. So it kept a little more monochromatic with the blues going on in there. And I'm going to have a little bit more of a contrast here between the 2 papers. I've got a little bit more of a pattern going on here, a very tonal print there, but it picks up on the colors. And then I've got this pale purple that will be going in, acting like the grout. So that's what the paper choices here. So, and then for putting the rest of it together, I mentioned having some border details available. You'd want 2 border strips. So you can imagine here, I had 1 border strip that I just made with the gemstone BMC, punched it in a couple different colors, wove them together ever so slightly, and then I just cut them at about 5 and 7 inches. And so you'll want to have 2 details. And this is like Tessa said, if you've got border stickers, you've got laser cut borders. I have the Better Together stickers, and they actually had 2 sheets of border stickers in there. So I'll have something to work with for just stickers in this particular case. Once I get my photos on the page, I can figure out for sure what's going to work for that border detail. So hopefully you've had a chance, as I've been rambling on there, to pick out a couple of sheets of designer paper that you feel they complement each other. For this particular case, I'm only going to worry about, I'm not sure why my camera is acting so funny and fading in and out. Can you tell that, Tessa? Is it?
It's okay. We can handle it.
Okay. I just don't know why it's doing that. So, you can tell I've got the 2 different pieces here. This particular layout, I would be able to play with the other side of both sheets. So if you happen to like all the various sides, I'll show you ways that you can mix and match with this, but how we're going to put this together, I'm only worried about these top 2 patterns that I can see here. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started. It's very simple cuts. You might want to have a pencil available to use. I'm going to start with my tonal paper here. And the first thing I need to do is I need to trim down. I need to trim this down to 11 3/4 inch square. And by doing this trim at first, it's going to allow me to automatically build in these grout lines. So by cutting this down to 11 3/4 inch square, I will be able to, I don't have to worry about, I was going to have you guys cut 1/8 inch strips and try to put those in there. But then I thought Tessa would be like mentally throwing darts at me the rest of the night.
Bravo.
So we're gonna go ahead and just cut this to 11 3/4 inch square. So I'm gonna come over here and line this up. And I gotta make sure I go all the way over. 11 3/4 is not quite to 12 instead of, 10 3/4. Anyway, 11 3/4 inch. I'm just cutting off 1/4 inch. So I cut one side and then I'll go ahead and cut that on the other side and I'll have my square. And I'm going to do that to both pieces. So 11 3/4 inch. And if you're wanting to cut just 1/4 inch off, as you'll see when you're lining this up, you're at that very edge of the gray mat. That is 1/4 inch. But sometimes the paper is not, the paper might be, especially when you're working with cardstock, the paper might be 12 1/8 inch or 11 7 or 8 or whatever, no, 15/16 or whatever. It's within that threshold that creative memory says is close enough to 12. And if you cut off 1/4 inch, you might actually not quite end up with 11 3/4. So that's why I'm going to just always double check on the other side. If I know I need a certain size square, I'm going to measure over here, if not just trying to cut off a certain amount. I've made a few mistakes that way, but now I have my 2 pieces of paper cut to 11 3/4 inch. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to grab one of my papers and I'm going to make some cuts at 4 7/8. Now 4 7/8 is not quite to 5 inches. So I'm going to come over here and it's not the line right next to 5. It's the second line over to the right of 5. That's 4 7/8. So I'm going to cut, I've got it's just square in here. Remember, you're working with non-directional paper. If you've got a direction to your paper, you kind of have to think about how things are going to lay on the page. And so I hope you're all working with non-directional, because I didn't give a whole lot of explanation of how that's going to be, but you'll get an idea. There's a lot of flexibility in this layout. So if you're working with a non-directional paper, ideally what you're going to be looking at it right now, if you have a stripe, maybe it's going horizontal, or going vertical here. If you've got something that has a definite top, I would go ahead and make sure your top is at the top right now. And we're going to cut at 4 7/8. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this larger piece and I'm just going to kind of slide it off to the side right now, just right there. My narrower piece, I'm going to rotate so that it's sideways, and I'm going to cut again at 4 7/8. So what I've got is a square and a rectangle. And I'm just going to kind of start setting these off to the side over here, kind of like just keeping them with how they were originally part of the big square. Now my next, this large piece here, I'm going to go ahead and rotate sideways, feed back into my trimmer, and cut again at 4 7/8. All the cuts we're going to make at this point are 4 7/8. So now I'm going to just kind of rotate these back here, and you can see that's what my square photo, or my square paper after I've cut it, what it looks like. Now in the directions, I can't remember which step it is. I mentioned about, we're now to step 5. And I talk about going ahead and using a pencil to mark your corners. So we want our diagonal cuts to angle in from the outside corners into the middle. So you can see here how I'm going to make the cuts. And I need to mark, I just do this because I'll forget. a light pencil mark in the corners that I want to cut from corner to corner. And this just reminds me when I go to put my paper in my trimmer of which corners I need to cut. So that light pencil mark, I can just erase it later. My 2 pencil lines, lining those up. So now you can see I've got my squares, my small square, my large square, and my 2 triangle sections. So that's how we cut the paper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the second sheet the exact same way. So I'll just set these up off to the side and we'll cut the second piece the exact same way. So once again, I'm coming back with that 4 7/8 inch. Rotate 90 degrees. I'm going to make another 4 7/8 inch cut. This is going to give me my smaller square and one of my rectangles. That wider piece goes back in, cutting at 4 7/8. And I'm going to make those small pencil lines. And I'm going to cut on the diagonal from pencil line to pencil line. So now we've got 2 sets of papers. I'm just going to kind of put these as such up here at the top. I'm going to grab my cardstock pieces here. I'm going to set these. I don't need my trimmer anymore. I'm going to set it to the side. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just doing like a dry fit on my paper. So I will go ahead and start with laying out one of my small squares. And I'm going to build them right now with my small squares in the upper corners. And then I'm going to swap my big squares into the lower middle corners. And then what I'm going to do here is this. I'm kind of going every other color. So I've got the purple, I'll go with the teal, it would be the purple. So I will pull the top piece over here like such. Teal, then I need purple, and then I need teal. And the other side will be just the opposite. So I will come in and go, let's see here. Oh, that's right. Okay. Purple, teal, purple, teal, purple. So there we kind of go. You kind of see how that comes together. I've got that nice, when I started hearing things together, I've got that built-in grout line. I will make sure that I'm lining up at the very outside edge of my paper. And that grout line is going to be built right in there. Now, the thing you can do here is that I was only working with 2 sides. I've got other sides available. You can really start to mix and match. So really quick, one of the things I experimented with was my first ones I experimented with were using the Summer Loving little paper collection. So here you can see I took advantage of using all 4 sides of the paper that were available to me because they worked out really well. Now you might also see here that I had a directional print. I had bathing suits, and the bathing suits could only go certain directions. Otherwise they just looked kind of funky. So that's why you'll see that some of my triangle pieces, I could have them flipped the one way, but I couldn't flip them the other way because then it got all kind of crazy. So you might see that you can flip things around and mix and match. But for simplicity's sake, for this one, I would suggest starting out worrying just about 2 prints. And then if you wanted to be able to start flipping things over, the backside of the purple one is not very contrasty, but I do know the other side of the teal is stars. So if I wanted to just have some stars in certain locations, I could do that. I could start playing around with how I did this. So you can just start to see, you just kind of play around with things and see what's going to work for you. For my photos, I'm going to stick with the teal side.
So Megan, you didn't cut the big big ones in triangle?
These squares here?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. You
did.
Oh, no, you just the rectangles.
Just the, okay.
That's the rectangles.
Yeah.
If you cut it in, don't worry about it. You could flip it around. You could, make it, you might be surprised if you put it back together. If you put a photo on top of it, you might never even know that there's a seam across there. So I wouldn't say, I wouldn't stress that too much. So I'm going to go ahead, and how I recommend putting this together is putting your squares on first. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead, and you're going to want to line up on the outside edges, nice and flush. So I'm going all the way to the outside edge. And I'm going to do the same thing for the smaller square. And that is just how I size things. I didn't worry about doing an outside border because then it really started to get kind of complicated with making sure you put things on nice and straight. Then I found it easiest to go ahead and put my triangles that line up with my large square. So I'm going to put those on. And I want to leave about 1/8 of an inch along this long edge. So I'm going to be flush at the bottom. And about 1/8 of an inch here. I am not all the way to the corner here. That's the thing to note. You're not going to take this triangle right here into the corner. You're going to default to trying to keep that nice, an even edge here. And you'll do the same thing along this other triangle. It's kind of on the top of the larger square. I'm flush along the edge here, and I've got about 1/8 of an inch spacing there. Then I'll come in with my other triangle. And I'm going to go about 1/8 of an inch on the straight edge of my small square. So I've got that 1/8 inch here. And that naturally should give me roughly 1/8, maybe a little bit more of 1 inch separation right in here. So there, that is the first page put together. And the other one, I'm just going to do the same. I'm just going to build it the exact same way. I'm going to start with those squares and put it together.
It amazes me that you can think of ideas and designs like this.
I have a handy dandy little. So I should show you guys because you'll laugh at this. So Tessa mentioned the fact that oh, where did it go? She mentioned her paper, oh, there it is. Her paper calendar. So I buy them. I buy paper calendars. I buy them and I think I'm going to use them. And I started out last year. You'll come in here and I had some notes on things I was going to do and all this stuff. And here's what it turns into. I found that I can draw sketches in them. So that's what I use paper calendars for, is they are perfect for me to haul around with me. And I can use my pencil and draw out some ideas and make notes and all that other stuff. So I use Google Calendar religiously because it's with me all the time. It's on my phone. I don't have to have a big purse. I'm carrying around a book in, or, you know, a calendar in. And so, yeah. And then I laugh because I'll put things in Google Calendars and I'll be talking to Tessa about something. And she's like, well, I thought we had this scheduled on this date. And I'm like, no, it's in the calendar. And she's like, well, it's not in my calendar. I'm like, which calendar are you talking about? Yeah. So
It's written on my calendar.
yes, it's written on her calendar, but that doesn't do me any good. Or that's what it'll be, is she'll have stuff written on her calendar and then she thinks she's told me about them. I'm like, she's like, well, it's here in my calendar. I can't see your calendar. So that doesn't do me any good.
I've literally never sketched in my calendar. Never.
Well, no, that's okay. So after it all starts to come together and I ran out of adhesive, then we get to figuring out how we want to put photos on here. And I went very, very simple with my photos. I kept it definitely not clustered by Tessa's standards. So there we go. We have some options here too. So you can mix and match things a little bit. You can rotate them. You can have them be different ways that maybe you want to use them. So yeah, you can just do the thing like that. So Kelly, yes, we do share each other with our the calendar, and we do the same thing with Creative Life Scrapbooking. We have all of us design team, we have a calendar that has our assignments listed on them. And so yeah, I'm trying to convince Tessa that I'm gonna get her on board with this Google Calendar. That's
Well,
my
you're
goal.
not admitting that it's August, and I still have yet to figure out how to get the 21 CLS calendar on my Google phone.
Yeah, well,
It's yeah.
That'll be our goal.
Since I don't work in like healthcare anymore, and I'm not dependent on Outlook, I like revolt against all technology calendars.
So here's what I've got for photos, if I can find them, because I have photos. I have photos. I have some pictures of my oldest child when he was probably 4. He's 8. He's gonna be 18 tomorrow. I'm behind. And they're just 4x6s. I don't even plan to crop these. It's him and his little friend Bella, who's also 18 and getting ready to go to college tomorrow. She was a grade older than him in school. And then their sweet little dog, Milo. So here's kind of what I've got going for photos that I'm going to be putting on here. I don't think I'm going to do any additional matting. I've got fairly tonal papers going on that I don't think I need to give any additional separation. I will come in probably I'll make some little journal boxes or something to go in this. And then I've got to come in and figure out what I'm going to do for borders on here. And I think I'm actually going to there's this kind of a triangular shaped one here that's pretty neutral. I think I'm going to do something with it. I'm not 100% sure. So I probably won't do that, completing that part of it right now. I'll probably work on that after we're wrapping up here and then post what the final image looks like. I'm one of those persons that until I put the photos on, I had a hard time just visualizing what I was going to do. So I'll get all of that wrapped up. I'll post my final layout with the rest of you as you're sharing them into the layouts group. And that is pretty much it. I mean, it's one of those layouts, it's got a lot of versatility with it. Hopefully you guys have a chance to put it together and, you know, play around with the different patterns, designs, and see what you all come up with. So are there any questions that I can answer for anyone? Hopefully I didn't mess up explaining it. So if there's no questions, I'm going to toss this back over to Tessa. She'll wrap everything that. So Deanna, great. I'm glad you had a chance to get them both done. Get those photos on there, or share them with us and then put your photos on if you don't want to share with photos on them. So Tessa, I'm going to toss this back over to your smiling face.
I have a question, Megan.
Sure.
Where would you put your title, or do you?
Oh,
Your journal.
let me real quick. I'm going to switch back over here. Oops. Okay. So probably what I would do for a title, something you could do. I could pull away one of the photos here and I could do a title up in here if I wanted to. Maybe I would crop the photo differently. I could do a title in another place. I could easily do a title here. In fact, on my sample, so here's my sample, and I kind of had envisioned, I made these little journal boxes. I cut one of the journal boxes down, and I envisioned this, I was gonna use some letter stickers and make a title as part of that. Right in here. So that's an area where you could either use it for some journaling. This square area, you can imagine if I had, you know, something right in here, and I could still come across here with that border if I wanted to, maybe be something a little bit smaller. So this is not going to be an area where I'm going to put a really big, aggressive, bold title, unless maybe I would use a horizontal photo in here. And I'd have room for a title. So there's a lot of different options on where you can put it. It may just depend on what photos you're using and how many photos that you want to include. Okay. So yeah, just put your photos in there, work them around a little bit, and I'm sure you'll find a spot to put that title.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Megan, I do have a question. What about the little BMC that you put on the one that you sent out? How would you do that those?
So how did I make this one, or
no. I know that's the BMC. I'm saying that you said that we will cut it 5 and 7 inches, right?
So yes, hopefully I put that on the instructions. So you have, well, I just say trim the borders to fit. So literally what I did is I had, imagine here, a 12-inch border, and I laid it down, and then I just used my scissors and snipped with, where it needed to be. Oh my gosh, really?
Okay. Sounds good.
So, okay, I'm gonna send this back to Tessa.
Are you ringing?
I'm ringing, and every time I stand up to turn it off, it disappears.
Yeah, well, thank you all. We will try to figure out closed caption. That could be next month's big business progress. We'll figure out closed caption for Zoom. I think they might have something for that, for those that are hearing it here. But thank you all for joining us. I know most of you know us. If you don't know us, we have the ideas group. That link will go out tomorrow in the email. If you haven't joined that, that's where you can share all of your layouts. You can go ahead and start sharing them tonight. We love to see what you do. Next month, Power Hour is it the 14th?
Yes, it's Tuesday, September 14th.
Yeah, that'll be posted tomorrow also, September 14th. September is busy for us because the 21st, we're doing Borders and More with the Oktoberfest kit. So that will be 6 sets of borders with some extras. And then the 28th, 21, 28th is the card class with the Oktoberfest kit. So if you have extra kits or you want to make borders or bring your own paper, that's what we are doing in September. And we mentioned the Winter Frolic Challenge. So a lot of you are part of Summer Scrap Challenge, which has been great feedback. I've been so impressed with all the pages everyone did this summer. And we're going to do it again in January and February following the holidays. So you can kind of do Oktoberfest, enjoy the holidays, and then when you're ready to kind of get back into winter scrapbooking, the challenge is 8 weeks. And we post 2 projects a week with handouts that you can print. And everyone had a great time doing that this summer. So that is on the website. So tessaandmeggan.com is where you can find all of the registrations for what we offer. So
It's Meggan and Tessa.
Megan, what did I say?
You said Tessa and Meggan.
Tessa, oh geez, Megan
Which we
goes
probably
first.
should buy that domain. We probably should buy that one.
You probably should. Megan's always first. Megganandtessa.com. Yeah, go get your 2022 calendar. January 1st, we'll kick off Winter Frolic Challenge. It'll be here sadly before we know it. It is just, time just flies. So thank you all. If you have any questions or whatever, you can post them in the group. So you will get these recordings and the handouts again tomorrow in the email that came to you also today. If you did not see it and you know you're registered, or search our name or something in your email and see if it got filtered out. Thank you all. It's lovely to see your faces. I like to see
Thanks,
you all.
everybody.
Thank you.